I wanted a picnic table and a bench. So I picked up this picnic table bench. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. I'm standing next to this big box, and I have in here a picnic table that converts into a bench, or maybe it's a bench that converts into a picnic table. So this is hopefully a no compromise kind of thing, so you can have what you want when you want it. A bench when you want a bench, and a table when you want a table. So let's get this thing unboxed and see what it's like. Well, some assembly required. Definitely looks like more than I thought. It smells pretty good. It's got some sort of varnish on there. You can see a little armrest right there. So I have perused the instructions here, and I think it's actually going to be helpful to have a little power tool. I have a cordless screwdriver right there. I will also say all the parts are marked. That has a 7 right there. They have these little spray painted numbers or letters on pretty much everything, so you will be able to identify all the parts pretty easily here. I did notice that I do have a little chip in the wood right there, so the wood is actually pretty light, which is going to be nice, I think, when you are either folding it up or unfolding it. But the drawback to that is that I do have a little chip, but it's not a big deal, and this thing is going to be sitting outside, so kind of expect it to get a little beat up, a little weathered with time. If you have some sort of outdoor treatment paint or something like that, it might be worth putting it on there if you really want this to last. But let's get it set up. So I've uncovered the picnic table top right there, which I think is actually the back of the bench as well. But you can see that it's the largest piece here. And we have 3 little holes on this side and then a big hole on that side. That is the same on both these sides. And you're going to put in these little arms here. Now, this one is labeled for right. And so what we are going to do here is we are going to put this kind of on the back. It's actually on the left side here, but this will get bolted inside just like that, and you will use the long B screws right here. And what I like about this is that it comes with this little tool here to hold the nut in place while you are screwing it down with a Phillips head screwdriver on that side. So we are going to attach it with 3 screws on either side. So just to reiterate, this piece is going to go on the inside of the table, and then you're going to take this bolt, you're going to keep one of these plastic washers on the outside, you're going to feed this through, and then we are going to take the remaining plastic washer as well as this locking nylon nut and then put it on this side here. And then this tool will lock on that nut on this side, and then I can use my cordless screwdriver to tighten it up right here. All right, now I think we're creating one of these benches here. So we're going to take this long piece here. It is marked number 2. And we're going to take these 2 pieces. They look like sawhorses, and you're going to want to make sure that these curved ends are pointing in the same direction, and you want to make sure that the curved pieces are on the outside. So these are going to be the legs for this table, and then we are going to use these C wood screws to just screw them all down. Let's get to it. And while we have pre-drilled holes on the top piece here, we don't have any down here. So I'm just going to flush this edge up with the back of one of these sides, and now I'm just going to drill these in. I will say at this point, power tools are a must for this little project. On to the next step. All right, I flipped this bench piece over because now we have to use these number 3s, which are going to be structural supports. And so they are going to go down here, kind of drilled up into the middle of that side piece and then drilled into the board down here. So I think you can just kind of eyeball that a little bit, and so that's just going to provide some structure so it doesn't collapse side to side. All right, so now I have that bench piece that we just created and the top that we created, and now the 2 pieces here are going to meet, those 2 little curved edges. The tabletop pieces will go on the outside here. So if I just rotate this up on its edge, you can see that now we've got those holes lined up. We're going to use these A bolts to hold them together, and that's going to be a pivot point. Now, one of the things that I want to say about this is there are washers here. So you're going to want a washer on the outside, and then a washer between the 2 pieces of wood, and then a washer on this side too. So we're going to put that on and that one on, and then these 2 pieces should be joined. All right, now that we have those 2 pieces joined, we have to grab these number 6s, and this will attach here to the table. So this will hold up the bench on the other side. They will also rotate here. So what you can see here is that the number 6 that I'm holding here. Now, one tip here is note as you're attaching these legs, this triangle here will be on the inside. The bar of the leg itself will actually be on the outside of the table here. So you'll attach it on the outside, and make sure you put a washer on the post between the two pieces of wood. All right, now I have the table flipped in the upright position here. We have to attach these little movable armrests here too. Now there's a left and right side, and as you can see, the flare here will go on the outside, but they will get bolted to the inside of the legs that we just installed. So you can see now there is a second hole, and that's where this one will go. So you might have to push the table up, but then you're going to use those same pivoting bolts to attach these. So let's get the armrests installed on this side and on that side. All right, got those arms on. Now I think we're at the point where it is self-explanatory. We only have one piece left, this lower bench piece, and that is obviously going to get bolted right there. Now you may have to splay out or nudge the legs out just a little bit to make sure that this edge is flush with those legs, but now you're going to use the last of these 8 screws and just bolt this sucker down. All right, so we're done, man, and there it is in its picnic table form. Now it's not as big as a traditional picnic table, you know. I mean, this tabletop here is only maybe 20 inches deep, you know, side to side, and the benches here look like they are about the appropriate height for sitting. I would call them about 5 feet long, so you can absolutely have a couple of adults on either side here, 4 people sitting at this table comfortably. It's interesting, they even put a hole in the middle here for an umbrella, so you can really kind of gussy this up like a real picnic table, and you can see kind of how it looks on the side here. So it doesn't scream to me like a folding table. I mean, obviously it doesn't look quite the same as a regular picnic table, but I think this is actually great for adding comfortable seating for 4 more people. Now what will happen here is that this whole thing will kind of cantilever back, so I believe this will become the back of the stool. This side will join that side as the bottom. These armrests will come up, and so let's go ahead and just start moving this and see what happens. I think if I just lift up on this side, we can kind of get it to fold back. Look at that, that's going back like that, fits in there. Now if I push this down, what's kind of interesting there is you can see how those armrests are pushing against that back piece and coming up. And now if I push this all the way down, man, it doesn't get any easier than that. I was holding the camera with one hand and then just collapsing this thing with the other hand. So now we have a bench here which would be comfortable for 2 adults. And if I just sit down on it right here like this, what you can see is I can put my arm right there, just really comfortable. It's kind of nice just sitting here just like that, man. This is perfect. I mean, the bench area here is probably 18 inches long. The top here is kind of at the right angle. It's actually a pretty creative little piece of engineering. I mean, that is a bench. Now I can push that right up against the wall there and it would look like a great little piece of outdoor furniture, but then you're having some people over. How hard is it to convert back into a table for some additional seating? Well, let's find out. I think you'll just pull up on the bottom part here, kind of like this, and then pull the top piece. I'm going to actually hold that back with my foot here. Just release it like that. And now, look at this. I will say the only thing you have to do is push these down. It doesn't look like it's going to push those armrests down, but now back to table format, man. How cool is that? Picnic table and comfortable little rustic bench. It's pretty awesome, man. Like I said, you know, even here on my patio, this thing is going to fit in fine. The tabletop is just as high as my patio table. I'd call that 29, 30 inches tall. And I would also say this is kind of a perfect piece if you are trying to furnish a small balcony. Maybe you live in a condo, a townhouse, an apartment building, something like that. But obviously, if you are out here in the country, it works perfectly too. So really awesome. Collapses and stores really nicely, man. I dig this thing. The best thing about this thing is it's not very expensive. So if you were like, hey, I need some of those folding disposable tables, you know, this actually might be a cheaper and trendier way to go, because it was only about $184, I think, for this little bad boy. So obviously you have to do it yourself. Follow my instructions and you'll be able to set it up by yourself. It was a 1-person job, no problem. Just make sure you have a power tool, because that is really what you need. Pretty awesome for $184. I think a worthwhile purchase to add a little bit more seating at my next event. So I'll put a link to this table / bench in the description below. Peter Von Panda, out.
We can discover more and explore so much deeper. We can live better than ever thanks to Peter Von Panda. Peter Von Panda.
On the outside, you're going to feed this through, and then